Hey, what's up guys? So today we're going to be doing the last part of the flex fuel install, which is the installing the flex fuel kit. So we'll get the hoses and all the sensors connected, and I'll take you guys along for the ride. So what you need to do first is depressurize the fuel system. So if you need to see how to do that, check out my link to my previous video on fuel injectors. So before you start installing this kit, do that and then come back to this video. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is disconnect the fuel lines from the firewall. I got these little fuel line disconnect tools from Amazon for like 10 bucks or so. So you just slide it in this end and then you pull the line and it should come off. So once you slide the tool in, just wiggle it a bit. The line will pop right off. So that's the first line. That's our fuel return is the top. This middle one's a vapor canister. That one you're gonna need to take off, but you'll put it back on. You just need room to get to this bottom one, which is the fuel feed line. So we're gonna get that one off and I'll get back with you guys. Alright, so after a ton of struggling, finally got the fuel inlet off. So now we could start putting the connectors on. The first thing we're gonna do is mount the sensor up. So we got the Cobb sensor here. We're gonna mount it to these two holes where the secondary air pump is located. I did an air pump delete, so I don't have that anymore. So let's get this attached and then we'll start doing the lines. Alright, so now I got the bracket mounted. So now I just have to run the lines from the firewall to the sensor, and then from the sensor back to my fuel pressure regulator. So I'm gonna connect the feed line now to the sensor. So they provided a few different connectors. These white connectors are for the stock fuel ports right here. So you'll do one on each of those. And these blue ones are for the ethanol sensor. So I'm gonna put one of these on the feed line, a blue one here, and then I'm gonna measure out some of this hose to put in between the two. So since my setup's a little different, what I'm gonna do now, you don't need these guys anymore. They're just fuel dampers. So I'm gonna remove from where the silver line starts to this connector off, and then on this one I'm just gonna remove the same part from here to the connector so that I could fit the rest of the stuff on the flex fuel sensor. Alright guys, as you can see, I got the first connector on for the feed line. Attached some hose, and then got it attached to the sensor. That I would recommend doing first because that's the hardest line out of this whole process. The next thing I'm going to do is connect this evap canister line back to this blue middle hose because we're done in that area, except for the return line, but we'll work on that last. So we're gonna do this, then we're gonna get the connector for this feed line for the sensor so we could attach it there and start buttoning up the rest. So now that I have the evap line connected, I'm gonna put a fitting on this side of the sensor for the feed line and then connect this hose, which is my feed hose that goes to my regulator. So I'll get back to you after I get that in. Alright, now I'm going to take this other white fitting, put it on the return line, and then connect the return line back up to the fitting. So now the fuel line portion is complete on this. Just to do a quick run over, you're going to do the fuel feed line, which is the very bottom line coming out of the firewall, to the flex fuel sensor, to your feed line on this side. Usually there's like a bracket here that has a couple. You might have to look up the manual on Cobb's website to see what your application is, but mine runs to my fuel pressure regulator, and then my return line is at the bottom of the fuel pressure regulator, so that's run right to here. The white connectors are going to go on this, and the blue connectors are to the actual sensor. Alright, so the last thing we need to do is put in this flex fuel module. It's got a bunch of connectors on it, and then the actual little module here. That's gonna mount to this top mount bracket up here. All the connectors have labels on them, so this one goes to the fuel sensor, so that's the sensor we just installed. This guy's to the TVG, And then we have one that goes to the O2 sensor, so you're gonna have to crawl under the car and connect that. So first we're gonna mount the module to the bracket here, and then we'll start connecting connectors. So this connector we're gonna put in the sensor that we just installed. I want to make sure that you hear them all click. Alright, the next thing we're gonna do is hook up this TVG sensor. For this one you just unplug this guy and then plug this into it. As you guys can see, I unhooked this sensor right here. This is the TBV sensor, and then you plug in the plug from the cob into that, and you'll probably want to zip tie all this stuff down. I'm gonna go through and zip tie everything after I'm done. And then the last thing you need to do is run this to the O2 sensor. So you connect the O2 sensor to this plug and then back to the connector. So I'm gonna go down there and do that real quick, and then she should be done. So that's how you install a flex fuel kit. Should apply on all WRXs up to 2007 and all STIs up to, I'm not sure which year, but if you guys like the video, please like and subscribe. I'll be doing a video on the tuning coming up next, and then we got a few more cool videos coming up for you guys, so stay tuned. Have a good one. You got you got emotion. You got